Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to LEGO Space. So today we are going to check out my Titanic before I start disassembling it for all of the modifications. Um, it's both exciting and sad. I'm excited because the ship is going to be a lot better when I get it back together. It's going to be the playability of it's going to be a little bit more fun. Um, but it is going to suck not having the ship fully assembled for a couple months. So this is going to be the last time you guys see this ship fully assembled for a couple months at least. I'm guessing it'll probably take me that long. Could be shorter, could be longer. Just depends on what I have for time. Um, but just to kind of give you guys a real simple walkthrough of some of the real um, small changes that I made to the outside or the exterior of the ship, just kind of make it look a little bit better, is changed some of these tie-off points to gold pieces to kind of make those look a little bit better. I did add tiles here and there to hide certain areas. Did a few different color changes here and there on some stuff. Changed out the blue pin, the blue Technic pin on this for a black Technic pin because that had to be changed. These supports underneath here, we put 1x2 tiles on those to kind of make those blend in a little bit better. Put a 1x3 tile over this part of the base of the mast. One thing I made sure I did, which was kind of a pain in the butt for some of this, was I made sure there was white behind every single one of these portals on the side. All those little porthole windows. I made sure there was white behind every single one of them. Some of you that have built this or are going to build this, that is not the case straight out of the box. There are certain areas of the ship where there are different color pieces and even pieces with through holes in them. So I tried to really unify all the windows along the bottom there. My colors behind all these larger porthole windows, and then of course the inner deck windows, I blocked those out with dark gray pieces. Really did my best to make sure there wasn't too many crazy colors showing through there, especially on like some of these windows on the tops of the decks, the windows for some of these smokestacks. I made sure all the stuff in there was either blacked out or as dark as could be. Couple little filler pieces here and there just to kind of cover up a few untouched spots, in my opinion. Went with gold pieces on the tie-offs on the stern of the ship. Or, Jesus, yeah, the stern. I did change the red Technic axle and the dark gray gear that they originally have here for your wire tensioner. I kind of changed those out with a gray bushing and a black Technic axle for that, so that way that kind of blended in a little bit better. That red didn't stand out, you know, that red really stood out, so the black kind of dumbed it down a bit, kind of gave it a cleaner look. And just a few other things, like just all these windows, especially back here, I try to make sure that they were either black or white. Some of that stuff you could see some pretty crazy colors through. You can kind of see some of the deck colors, which is fine. And just a lot of little stuff. Almost too much to mention, just because it was a lot of work. For the better part, these decks are going to be completely disassembled. I am going to try to save some of my side walls as I disassemble the ship. I'm going to, of course, save all the lifeboats because there's no need to take those apart. So some stuff I'm going to try to save, and some stuff is just going to absolutely have to come back apart. And we're going to kind of refine some stuff, make some more changes after the modifications that we're already doing with the mock. But yeah, guys, it's going to be it's going to be quite the adventure. Like I said, it is kind of a sad moment because this is the last time we get to see the whole ship fully assembled. But it's going to go back together 100 times better and a little bit more fun. I'll actually be able to navigate this ship around the floor. So that'll be pretty cool. One thing I am going to do in this video, and this is going to be kind of a longer video, guys, just to warn you. We're going to separate the sections and talk about some of the changes I did internally, some of the stuff that I will be keeping, some of the stuff that I just absolutely can't keep because the mock changes a lot of stuff internally. But luckily, the most important stuff to me personally, I'll be able to keep, aside from the direction that my props spin. So, if you guys know much about this ship, or if you're mechanically inclined like I am, I took a lot of time and effort to make sure that these props spun the correct direction, and I'll show you guys here. You guys can see the starboard prop spins the opposite direction from the port prop, and then the rudder prop, it is kind of hard to see, but it does spin slightly faster than the other two. If you guys kind of watch the blade rotation, you'll see that the blades on that rudder prop actually tend to overtake the position of the blades on the starboard prop there, if you guys look at it closely, which is prototypical. Per the actual ship, the rudder prop spun faster and the same direction as the starboard prop, and you guys can see all that's clearly geared together. Now, I'm losing my prototypical bits on the directions and the speed of these, which is sad to me. I am going to see if there is a way that I can fix that, but I don't think that there is going to be a way that I can fix that, just because of how tight the space is right now. My gearbox is somewhere in here, and it pretty much runs the whole length of the bottom of the ship here. It was really hard to fit that in there and figure out the gearing. I kind of had to build a gear tower and do it like that. And the new gearing system in here is a little bit more simplified than what I have in here right now, and I don't know just how everything is assembled on the mock. I don't think I'll be able to change that, so I'll kind of work on it as I go along, but I don't think there's going to be much I can do about that. So I will be losing my prototypical stuff on those as far as I know right now. We'll see what I can do. Like I showed you in the last video, the rudder right now is just placeable. It is movable, but does not move via controlled anything. The the new one, or the mock version, is actually going to have a gear and a shaft come through here, and like I said before, it'll be geared, so when the ship turns one way, the rudder will turn in the corresponding direction. So that's pretty cool. And as I kind of build up these decks again, I am going to make sure I take time to hide what's behind the windows, make sure I keep my coloring good. And as you guys can see, I have all of my more dynamic colors in the background here for doing a lot of the hidden structures on the inside of the ship. I'm going to, like I said in the last video, I'm going to try to reclaim a lot of my gray pieces. So enough on that. We're going to unhook the wires and slide the ship apart here. So I'm actually going to have to set you guys down, so bear with me. Bear with me for just a few minutes. I'll see if I can kind of get you guys set up somehow here. Alright, you guys will just kind of have to look at that part of the ship for a minute. So I get the wires undone. And we'll slide, I'll just go ahead and slide the pins out right now. Alright, I should be able to leave these intact. I shouldn't have to take those apart, so that's just something else I can leave together. And this is also something else that I did a lot of color change on. They kind of used some brighter colored parts on the lower half of this that you don't really see, but I feel like just with them being removed, I want it to kind of have a cleaner look, so we just kind of kept that like a two-color thing. So we'll carefully slide the stern away from the middle section. There you guys can see my beautifully modded engines. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. Get the stern section flipped around. We'll get the bow unhooked here. There we go. Table's a little uneven, so the stuff doesn't want to come apart that nicely. And what I'll do here is I'm going to get these kind of in a place where I can video them nicely and try to get my booklets out here. We'll start with book 2. There's not really a whole lot to talk about in the first book, just a lot of little changes. But book 2 and book 3 have the most. Oh Jesus, cat's running in here. Can we not fight while I'm doing a video? Thanks. All right, kind of slide that around. So, if you guys have this ship, if you've built it, you realize this is not how this is supposed to look. I didn't like that these were just big gaping holes into the middle of the middle section here, and you could basically see all the way through and just see all the various connections and build-up areas and stuff like that. And I wanted a lot of detail in this. So I went and built myself the other half of the engine room. I didn't change too much on the other side, other than just like filling in some of the floor where they gap it like that. That stuff kind of drove me crazy a little bit there with wanting everything to look really good and proper. See if I can, yeah, get a little ahead of myself on that. Maybe, yeah. We'll go back a little bit here, see if I can get. Okay, so this is basically how they have it. The supports for the engines to rest on, and then you guys can kind of see like some of the Technic work in there, and then you can basically see all the way through to the other half of this. And I didn't like that. I wanted it to be realistic or more detailed. It's Lego, so I can only get so realistic with it, but I wanted a lot more detail out of it. And I wanted to actually have a complete engine room when fully assembled, even though you can't see it. But this is kind of what I came up with. Did the flooring a little bit better. Did more back wall detailing. That I'm actually going to be redoing when I rebuild all this. And luckily for me, I even with putting wheels in this section right around here somewhere, there's two sets of axles, if you guys remember from the video yesterday. There's a set of wheels right here and a set of wheels right here. So I was kind of worried that the set of wheels right here was going to impede on my engine room, because I made this very tight fitting, so the engines literally go right up against this wall right here. And these walkways actually sit right in between some of the detailing on the engines. So I made it really tight tolerance in there. And my concern was if I had to move that wall any closer, I would have to lose the wall. Just because it's not feasible for me to move it any closer. So I went through the mock, I counted the studs on this, counted the studs on that, and it works out to where I can keep all of this detail that I have in here. So I'm really happy about that. Like I said, I am going to fix up these back walls a little bit nicer. I have some nice see-through graded railing pieces to go up in there, like what's on the other side. But there you guys can kind of see what Lego had you do, and then what I ended up doing. So I was really happy with that. And we will switch to book 3. That's book 1. Get book 3 out here. Alright. Slide that. I'll start by sliding out my engines. My engines still slide in and out very nicely, just like the original ones do. But I did do my best to replicate a lot of the construction of the heads on these engines, like on the original engines for the Titanic. You guys can see I built up a significantly beefier frame. And we'll get to the book here and I'll kind of show you, just if you haven't seen it. Well, let's see. We'll start here. So like I said, if some of you have built this ship, you understand what this is. This is the turbine that runs the prop for the rudder. And this is a pretty hidden piece. And I did my best to show it off, and it's still extremely hidden. But this is a really cool detail that I'm glad they added, and I kind of ran with this idea. And I'll see if I can get some light with my phone here in there and show you guys. I actually left the top of this off so you could see the turbine blades, aka the gears, the Technic gears that they have in there as the turbine blades. I'm trying to show that off. As far as like steam piping, since it ran off of steam, I ran steam piping on the sides of the engines. You guys can kind of see where those pipes up top right there will just kind of rest up against those pipes on the engines. And in the back here, you guys can actually see where I've followed those pipes through to this area. And I don't think I'm going to be able to capture it with my phone, which kind of sucks. The shadows and the my focusing is just not good in this area because it wants to focus on like a lot of the close-up stuff here. Sorry guys, I wish I could get a better angle on that. And you guys can kind of see my construction's a little bit different in here. I made a shorter wall so you could actually get the visual of being able to go all the way through the engine room. You guys can kind of, okay, hold on, let me zoom back out here. We're zoomed way in. There we go. So you guys can kind of see how the floor was of the engine room. Not very nice, so of course we made that a lot nicer, a lot more detail. And I wish to hell I could show you guys it. You'll see it when I start tearing stuff apart, guys. I'll show you. I basically made just a really nice detailed engine room all the way back. You guys can kind of see, like, further back in there, I used, God, the focusing is just not where I want it to be right now. Like, I want to focus on that stuff back there, not the stuff right in front of me here. Sorry, guys. I'll show you when I take it apart. Like I said, it's really hard to see, and basically everything that is behind these pillars right here, I'm losing. because there's a motor that actually kind of sits in that area, and so I will be losing that detail, but as you can see, guys, you can't really see it that well anyway, so at the end of the day, I'm not losing a whole lot there. I will still be able to keep the full detail and construction of my engine room, at least this half of it, to where the engines plug into the shafts there, and you guys can kind of see I have everything geared together. Internally, you guys will see that as I take it apart, kind of see what I did. All that, like I said, all that's going to be redone, so but you guys can kind of see how that works. Had it pretty cool. We'll get to the engines here. Just kind of wanted to show you guys the engine room part first here. Let's see, the engines are like the last thing that they have you build, which, as you guys can see, I kind of had to go ahead in some of these books to figure out distances and see where I could fit stuff, so pretty hard process to begin with here when I first started. This time it'll be challenging because I have the mock to deal with, but as far as like my own detailing, I kind of have that set in stone already, so it's kind of nice. Oops. Too far. Too far. Where are the engines at? Nope. Sorry guys, trying to get to the part where the engines are here. Having a hell of a time remembering where that was. I don't think it was how far. It's somewhere hidden in here. Got to flick through these pages one by one and see. It's kind of annoying. Well, shit. Where are these engines? There we go. There we go. All right. Alrighty guys, so we'll kind of start off with the base of the engine. You guys can kind of see how they had the back shafts of those. I found when I pulled these engines in and out, the back part actually wanted to stay in there, so I kind of made that a longer shaft, so it wanted to stay in there. And I kind of secure that, and then you basically just plug the end of the crank into that. You guys can kind of see I kept the kind of those 45s in the same area. These tan windows were actually part of the construction that they wanted you to build within the ship, and I didn't end up using those because I went with different color parts. So I had these nice tan pieces as a nice base color for the frame of the engine, which forgive me, I can't remember the name of the ship that they filmed the engine scenes in, because that's a real ship and the engines were real. None of that was CGI. But the frames of those engines were painted tan, so I kind of went with that. Crank, I used, you guys can see I used kind of older pieces for some darker colors on that, not having those bright tan pieces on the crank. The heads were kind of comical to me. I love that they utilized the kind of the trash bins, the old school barrels, flipped upside down for these. And I really did like the shape of their original build for the engines. But it just didn't look super realistic for me, and I was, like I said, I was trying to do my best to be as realistic as possible within the confines of Lego, without cutting, chopping, gluing. I'm not too big on doing that stuff, so a lot of work went into designing this. Still kept the kind of the same deal for the pistons and the piston rods. Just kind of did some color change on some of that, used lighter gray. I used the actual Technic engine heads for where the pistons actually go into for a little bit more, something cool. Looks a lot cleaner that way, using an actual engine part designed by Lego. And then of course the design of the kind of the triple expansion heads, where some of the valves are and stuff like that. So that was kind of challenging to figure some of that out. But you guys can kind of see they fit in there pretty tight. Not a whole lot of clearance when those slide in, especially like around some of these vent details on the side of the walls and stuff. I literally utilized all my space. You guys can kind of see those pipes just kind of go towards each other, up towards the heads and stuff like that. I do believe I'm going to lose those pipes right there because there's some different support work up in there for one of the motors. But my engines themselves I should be able to keep and not have to shorten them or take anything off the back or anything like that, which is good because I spent a hell of a lot of time redesigning these engines for something a little bit more realistic. So used some silver Technic pins with the axle slots on the back to hold some of that together. Just kind of some more like forward piping detail. And you guys can kind of see how they fit into the forward part of the engine room there. Just real simple, real nice. The pipes along the side are only kind of held in at the back, so they do kind of sag every now and then, because I'm not willing to glue those up against there. So, but yeah, guys, that's kind of my engine redesign. That's what Lego has you build, and then that's what I designed, and luckily that's what I will be able to keep. So, won't have to go and redesign that whole deal. So that's pretty nice. Even when as far as to like tiling the bottom so we don't see studs down in there. Made sure there was no like goofy studs up on top of the heads, stuff like that. Pretty happy with how these engines came out. I was pretty pleased with those. That was about 2 days in of itself, just trying to figure out a nice look for the engines, and they do look really nice side by side, especially when they're plugged into place here. And to get them up on those shafts, it's really not that hard. You just kind of turn the end a little bit until the crank finds its home on that shaft back in there. But they look really cool. I love how they look. They look a little bit more serious. Actual nice flowing parts. Everything's built well. This just kind of seemed a little hokey to me. Not saying that it's not cool. It's definitely cool how they utilize this, but just for like a realism, it was kind of hokey, but cool. But you guys can see what we had to do. So, as far as other things went that I did on the interior, I made sure to try to eliminate all exposed studs in all of these rooms. I made sure other than like some of these little round 1x1s for tables and stuff like that, I made sure the wall colors were coinciding with kind of the room color. Used tiles on the sides of these for hiding studs. Took a lot of time to make sure all these damn 1x1s were perfectly straight. If you've built this, you know how much of a pain in the ass that is. Even added tile I think I used a mixture of like 1x6s, 1x8s, 1x4s, 1x2s to line the decks. That way there's not just exposed studs on that. And I did that with every hall, so you kind of get like a nice shiny deck floor. And they are a different color from the top deck, just like they would be kind of like a stained color. And then same thing over here, guys. Just made sure all of the studs I could hide were hid, especially around the pool. If if you guys have built this, you know, kind of around the pool has some exposed studs. I did my best to redo that with tile, hide a lot of that a little bit better, and just really took my time floor to floor, just making sure everything was looking really good, things were hidden well. Like, I think when I go back and redo this, these 1x2s that I have in here, hiding some of those studs, I think I'm going to switch those out for a dark brown, so that way that kind of blends in with that room a little bit better. There's just a lot of little stuff that I kind of missed the first go around just because I had so much going on, guys. This was a really in-depth project the first time I built it. You guys can see my boilers. I don't have the blue pieces that are normally at the top of the boiler to represent water, because you're not going to see that in a real boiler, but the fire you would see, so I kept that because that's pretty cool, actually. And yeah, guys, just a lot of little stuff like that. It was a lot of work to do it the first time, but now that I already have those plans set, my biggest part is just kind of working on these hollow areas and putting in all of the mechanisms. Now, of course, there will be a shaft coming through here when I rebuild this for the steering linkage. And as well, there will be a shaft, you know, the receiving end of that's going to go through there. But I am happy that I won't be losing any highly visible detail in my engine room. And I can keep my whole engine room, all except for that back stuff, which, like I said, guys, you can't even see that, but I'll show it off when I take it apart, because that's going to be the only and last time that you will see that stuff. So I'll make sure to film that. And since this is such a large project, I am not tearing this whole thing apart at once, because I do not have the room for that right now. When I built this, I had another one of these tables, and it was out in another part of my basement, and I had a lot of room to build this ship and do all this work, and I don't have the room right now. So we're going to start with the bow. I'm going to take it apart, try to save as much as I can of just like these sidewalls and stuff, especially like all these windows, because if you've built this kit, you know these are a royal pain in the ass. They kind of real repetitive. I'm going to save all these window sections here because that's a highly repetitive build. So like I said, I'm going to save as much as I can, but there is a lot that I'm going to have to take apart. So yeah, guys, so we're already over 30 minutes on the video. I think I kind of covered everything that I changed, and stuff that I will still be keeping the changes of, stuff that I'm going to lose the ability to do, and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it was a long one, but I just really wanted to cover all the detailing that I did to the ship the first go around, and kind of go over the game plan for this project going forward. So the next time you guys see this, I'll probably have the entire bow apart and maybe even have some rebuild started on it, and just kind of go from there. So hopefully you guys are excited to see some updates. I'm excited and sad to see this go for a little while, but like I said, it will be 100 times better when it goes back together, and it'll be worth it. It'll be a lot of work, but it'll be worth it in the end. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a thumbs up, and until next time, take care.